Hey guys, welcome back to April's Aquarium. My name's Jacob, and today we're going to be going over one of my most commonly asked questions. How to gravel vac different substrates. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier than you think. The gravel vacs we always recommend never have a pump built into them, because from our personal experience, the pump always seems to break along the seal, and ends being useless after 2 or 3 uses. So the ones we have, there's a couple different methods you can start them with. The first one here, you can put the tube into the aquarium, create a ring around the mouth of the hose, and simply give it a little suck, and then gravity will take care of the rest for you. While stopping the flow, I usually recommend putting the hose into the bucket, cupping over the end, and then transferring into the bucket. This way, any of the debris that's left in the hose isn't shot back into the aquarium. It's all taken out into the dirty bucket. There is another method of starting the gravel vacuum without actually having to suck on the hose. You can simply put the gravel vacuum upside down in the aquarium, fill up the tube, make sure the hose gets full of water, put it back into the orientation you need, and gravity takes care of the rest. The next biggest thing is the actual gravel vacuuming part. So when you do have a heavier substrate like a proper gravel, it is much easier because it doesn't get sucked up the tube quite as bad. But as you can see, it does still make its way up. The way I like to gravel vac is you control the rate of flow with the hose by covering it with your finger, so that the gravel doesn't get sucked all the way up, but only partially up the tube, and then all the debris gets separated. From there, you can plug the hose, all the gravel settles back down to the bottom, but the debris stays in the tube, and then you can move on to your next spot, and simply rinse and repeat until all the aquarium's finished. With a much lighter substrate like sand, if you simply leave the hose all the way open, you're going to end up sucking the sand all the way to the top, as you can see. So this is where the plugging method with your finger becomes very important. You can let just a little bit of water out of the hose, enough that the debris and mold gets separated from the sand, and then simply leave it all behind. Just like mowing the grass, you want to do small parts at a time until eventually the entirety of the tank is done. In a wide open tank like this, the gravel vacuuming will be much easier than a heavily scaped tank like the last one we took a look at, which does make it a little bit easier to keep nice and clean. And then once you're finished, and all your sand is settled back out, so the third and most challenging one for most people would be something like a soil-based substrate. Being a very, very light and low-density substrate, it can be a little tricky to vacuum, but let's take a look at how I do it. Following the exact same concept as the other 2 substrates, you simply insert the vacuum into the substrate, have that very, very slow amount of water coming through. Once it's cleared itself up a little bit, then you can start to release some of the soil back into the aquarium. And with that, none of the debris that you pulled out ends up in the tank itself. Then you simply just rinse and repeat. While soil doesn't need to be vacuumed quite as frequently as gravel or sand, it's still good practice to do maybe once a month or once every 6 weeks. Another thing a lot of people struggle with is when they have a carpeted tank, they have a lot of mold and debris build up in the carpet itself. Now, part of this is making sure you're staying on top of trimming the carpets and ensuring that it doesn't get too long and thick. But gravel vacuuming is an option for them, but you just have to do it very gently. You can simply rest the gravel vacuum on top of the carpet of your plants, and it will remove most of the debris that's settled on the top. Most of which has settled into the soil itself will be turned into nutrients or be able to be used by the roots of the plants quite efficiently. But the stuff settling on the top will eventually build up and start to look quite dirty. So by following this simple technique, with a combination of everything we've learned throughout the video, it's going to be very easy for you to vacuum any of your current substrates. Well, I was using a clear gravel vacuum in the video to be able to show off the debris and mulm and fish poop coming out of the substrate. My personal favorite gravel vacuum is from Aquatop. The reason being, it actually has a control valve, which allows you to set the flow to whatever you like to clean your tank much more efficiently and thoroughly. I really hope these gravel vacuuming tips help you out during your weekly maintenance. Comment down below what else you'd like to see, and don't forget to subscribe!